Hey, hope you're having an awesome day and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Jason Walter and I'm a realtor here in Sacramento, California. And about a week ago, I made a video about how to get a perfect credit score. And I realized that there's a lot of people out there who have a less than perfect credit score who want to potentially maybe buy a house someday and want to look at tips and tricks about how to repair their credit. So if that pertains to you, then this video is for you. And just like the last video, these steps are going to cost you absolutely nothing to do. It's just going to cost you your time. And before we get started, to never miss a video about real estate related topics, subscribe to this channel right now and hit the bell to be notified when I post new videos, which by the way, I post a new video every Tuesday and Thursday. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into the video. Like I mentioned in my previous video, a credit score is basically a report card of how well you manage your money over time because it demonstrates your ability to pay off your debt and pay your bills on time every month. And if you do not have a good report card, then that's okay. Here's some steps that you can take that you can do absolutely for free. The absolute first step that you need to do is go to annualcreditreport.com and get your free credit report. And this is the only website that the federal law dictates and says that, hey, we actually need to provide consumers with a free credit report. So go to that website. Do not go to a lookalike website and pay for your credit report because you can go to that one absolutely for free. The first thing you need to do when you're looking at your credit report is to make sure that all the information on there is true and accurate. So look at your name, your date of birth, social security number, the addresses you lived in, and all the accounts that you have open. And on top of that, any late payments that you have on your credit report, just to make sure that all the information on the credit report is accurate. So when I actually did mine just a few months ago, I ran it and I got a credit report from someone that wasn't even me at all. And I find out that someone had stolen my identity and was using my social security number to gain employment. So obviously it's really important to go to this website just to make sure that all the information there is accurate. If you do find any errors on your credit report, just like I did, you can file a dispute with the credit bureau and expect the investigation to take about 30 to 45 days. If they come back and says, yep, this is absolutely not right, then they'll actually remove it from your credit file. However, any accurate negative information will stick to your credit report, such as late payments, which will stay in your credit report for about 7 years, and then bankruptcies will take up to about 10 years to come off of your credit file. Now that you have your free credit report and that you have verified the information is accurate or you have disputed any errors that you find, the next step, the second step here to repair your credit is to actually go to see what accounts you have in collections or any late payments to make sure that is accurate as well. So a really important thing to note is that your credit payment history, it makes up about 35% of your credit score. So it's crucial to pay your bills on time every time. However, federal law mandates that you can't get reported to the credit bureaus until you're at least about 30 to 31 days late. So technically you have about a 30-day window to pay your bills before you report to the credit bureaus, but I wouldn't count on this. I would pay your bills on time every month. And of course, if you pay your bills late, even if it's one day, your financial institution will more than likely will charge you a late fee, which can range from $10 to $50. So you definitely want to avoid those unnecessary charges. Keep in mind that your credit score will be hurt more if it's a recent late payment versus an old one. So for example, you have a late payment that's 2 years old, it's not going to affect your credit score as much as a late payment that was just made last month. So the longer the time passes from your late payment, the better. And this should be absolutely obvious, but obviously the more late payments you have, the more your credit score will be negatively impacted. In addition, the later you are on your payments, the more that's going to adversely affect your credit score. So for example, if you have a late payment that's 90 days late versus 30 days, the 90-day late payment is obviously going to affect your credit score a lot more. There are 4 stages of late payments, and so let me break those down for you. The first stage is 31 days late, and you'll be charged a late fee. Second stage is at least 60 days late. You'll be charged additional late fees, and it's going to be a bigger hit to your credit score. The third stage is 90 days late, and that's a major hit to your credit score, and you'll be charged additional fees and possibly interest. Then stage 4, which is absolutely the worst, is when the financial institution that you owe money to gives up and sends the debt to a debt collector. And so this is obviously the worst that could happen for your credit score. If you have a bunch of late payments on your credit report and you're still behind on your bills, here is what to do. The first step is to pay off any outstanding debt as soon as possible, and especially before you hit the 60, 90, and 120 day mark, because as you become later and later in your payments, you'll incur more and more late fees, and also your credit score is going to suffer greatly. So if you have any late payments that are approaching that 90 or 120 day mark, make sure you pay off those bills as soon as you can. Number 2 is to call the company that you owe money to and explain your financial situation and try to work out an arrangement such as a payment plan with that company. And the reality is that the company would much rather receive a portion of the debt that is owed than receive nothing at all. So especially if you have otherwise a good credit history with them, more likely than not, they'll work out an arrangement with you to work out a payment plan for the debt that it's owed. The absolute worst thing you could do is to ignore the problem and not communicate with the company that you owe money to. It's much better to contact them directly and try to work out a solution. All right, let's talk about collections. And this is when the original creditor has determined that is not likely to collect the debt that is owed, and the debt is at least 120 to 180 days late in payments. The original creditor sells the debt for about 4 cents for every dollar of debt owed. So if there is $1,000 of debt that is owed, the debt buyer may pay about $40 for that debt. And obviously, the older the debt is, the less the debt buyer is going to pay for that. Collections not only adversely affects your credit score drastically, but you're also going to receive many phone calls and letters in the mail from the debt collectors trying to collect on the debt that is owed, and you're going to feel like you are being harassed by the debt collector. You are not going to be having a good time. Because the debt collector paid for the debt for pennies on the dollar, any dollar amount that they collect above that dollar amount, they're going to be making as profit. Rather than receiving no collections whatsoever, usually they're willing to negotiate and receive a portion of what is owed. So for example, let's just say you owe $1,000. Maybe they're willing to accept $200 because they paid less than $100 for that debt. So work out an arrangement with them and try to negotiate a deal. Another way that your credit score is affected is by your credit utilization, and this makes up about 30% of your credit score. Credit utilization is defined as your credit balance, or the amount that you owe, divided by the available credit that you have for that given credit card. So if you continually max out your credit cards, you're going to have a high utilization rate, and that's going to adversely affect your credit. The general rule of thumb is you want to keep your credit utilization to below 30%. So at any given day of the month, make sure you don't utilize more than 30% of the credit that is allowed to you. Here's a few steps to take in order to decrease your credit utilization rate. And number 1 would be to do not close any unused or old credit cards, especially if they have a high available balance, because that's going to negatively affect your credit utilization ratio and your credit score. Number 2 is to call your credit card companies and ask for a credit line increase, because this is going to, of course, decrease your credit utilization rate, because it's going to be increasing your available credit. Number 3 is to make multiple credit card payments throughout the month. That way your credit card balance never gets too high, and then hopefully you stay below that 30% threshold for any given day in the month. Another way to lower your credit utilization rate is to spread your charges on your credit cards over multiple credit cards rather than just using one. So let me give you an example. Let's say you typically charge around $1,000 per month on your credit cards. If you were to have one credit card that has an available balance of $1,000 and you charge $1,000 every month onto that card, that's going to look very bad in the eyes of the credit bureaus, because your credit utilization is going to be 100% and not below that 30% threshold. So spread that $1,000 over 4 cards, for example. That way your credit utilization for each of those cards is only going to be 25%, even though you're still spending the same amount for that given month. Lastly, pay off or pay down credit card balances on credit cards that have a high utilization rate compared to other credit cards you may have that have a low utilization rate. The key point here is to definitely be responsible when it comes to money, especially when it comes to using credit cards. You want to resist the temptation to overspend and max out your credit cards every month. The key to repairing your credit over time is to budget and also to use your money responsibly. And that's how you repair a low credit score absolutely for free. The only thing it's going to cost you is your time, and hopefully if you find this video helpful, just give me a like and that'll help push this video out and my channel out to a broader audience, which will help support my channel. As I mentioned in my video before, you actually can view right here, that this video is simply a little bit different than what I usually post on my channel. I typically post more real estate related topics, not finance. So if you want more videos like this, please let me know. If you have any video topics you want me to cover, please let me know as well. So thank you so much for watching. You also can follow me on Instagram. I'm Sacramento Realtor. So hope you have an awesome day and look forward to seeing you on the next video.